Good day, everyone. Can we all hear me? Okay,
Yes.
can everyone hear me? Oh, okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon, good morning, just good day to you all, wherever you're joining us from. I believe we're all doing well. You're welcome to this webinar, and shortly we're going to be delving into the exciting journey of navigating USA and Canadian university applications. My name is Abosede Salami, and I'm your host for today's event. And I'm very excited to have you all here. Okay, so before we go into the discussion, we're going to be having a quick icebreaker. I remember I asked a question earlier, but I didn't get any response in the chat. So because it's a very conversational or an engaging session, would like to know that, yes, we're all following and we're all together. So I'd like to get to know each and every one of you a little more better. And so please, in the chat, just drop the country of your choice and the university of your choice, or your dream university, the school you want to attend, and in which country in the chat box. And we're going to be doing that for maybe less than 1 minute. Okay, so let's have it. Oh, thank you, Mr. Ferguson, USA, Ohio. Oh, beautiful. You're aware the place is very cold. Okay, any other person? Oh, Canada, you Manitoba. Okay, Canada is also very cool. Toronto, Canada. Interesting. Okay, keep it coming. Canada. Oh, I see. Canada has more people than the US. Interesting. Oh, USA, Boston. That's cool. That's a good one. University of Toronto, Canada. Wow, interesting. Lagos, Nigeria. Wow. Okay. Any other person? Okay. Oh, I guess some people didn't get my question. So I'm asking for the university of your dream, the university you're planning to attend, and why, and the country where you're going to, not where you are currently. Okay, because I believe most of us are here. I have choices in both countries. Okay, beautiful. Canada University of, okay, that's interesting. So yes, Deborah, if you want to maybe tell us the exact country you're planning to go to for your education. Okay. Toby, University of Manitoba. Okay. Oh, all right. Canada University. Okay. Beautiful. Any other person? Okay. All right. I see Canada has the higher votes than the USA. All right. So we're going to be moving on to the heart of today's event. And today's event is brought to you by SWIS Africa, that's shaping African women in STEM. And what we're about at SWIS Africa is celebrating, promoting, and shaping African women in STEM. I know that not all of you are women on this call, there are men here, but the goal of SWIS Africa is women. We are more focused on women, yes, but it doesn't mean that the men should quit the webinar, no. Okay, so for today, we are going to be talking about navigating USA and Canadian university applications. And trust me, the success of this event is up to you. Okay, because we're going to be opening the floor to you guys to ask our panelists questions, whatever questions you have about maybe graduate applications, undergrad applications in the United States or in Canada. And we have 4 amazing women who are also in STEM on this call. And in alphabetical order, I'm just going to tell you their names before I hand over to them to talk to us about themselves, what they are currently doing, where they came from, and what they hope to do. So in alphabetical order, I have Anne Adele. I hope I pronounced the last name right. She graduated from Calvin University in Michigan. And she's going to be talking to us. I mean, she graduated with a bachelor's in biochemistry. She graduated with a bachelor's in biochemistry, and she's currently pursuing a master's degree at St. John's University in New York. And also we have Lily Peterside. So Anne and Lily will be talking to us about navigating undergraduate applications to Canada and the United States. So Lily Peterside graduated from the University of Manitoba. So those of you that are saying University of Manitoba, Canada, Lily is your go-to person. So she graduated with a bachelor's in microbiology and biological sciences from the University of Manitoba. And for the graduate school, we have Oluwakemi Olayinka. She is currently a master's degree student at the University of Arkansas, Little Rock, and she's getting a master's in business information science or system, and business analytics. So she'll be talking to us about navigating graduate school application in the United States. And last but not the least, we have Patience Obi. Patience is a PhD candidate at the University of Manitoba. So she's also going to be telling us about graduate school application in Canada. All right. So the session actually is divided into two. We have the first session for undergrad application. So if you're interested in getting your undergraduate degree in the United States of America or in Canada, this is a time for you to get your questions together. You can, just you can drop an emoji, just for us to know that you want to ask a question, maybe a hand emoji, or so that you can unmute your mic and ask questions, or you can drop your questions in the chat box, okay? Remember, how engaging this event is up to you because it is for you. So you are to ask the questions, whatever question is bothering your mind, whatever thing you want to know about this undergraduate application, whether for yourself, for a friend, your sister, siblings, whoever it is, this is opportunity for you to do that. So as the speakers come on board, you're going to ask them questions. Just drop your questions in the chat box. And after the undergrad, we're going to have a short break, and then afterwards we'll have the graduate school application discussion. All right. So Anne and Lily, thank you so much, guys, for coming. And yes, thanks to everyone also for being a part of this event. Okay. So Lily and please let's get to know you guys. I think we'll start with alphabetical order. Yeah.
Okay. Hi. My name's Anne. I, like Abosiri said, I finished from Calvin University with a bachelor's in biochemistry. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. So I finished my secondary school at Loyola Jesuit College in Abuja. And I finished my secondary school from Loyola Jesuit College in Abuja. And from there, I took a gap year, and then I applied for college. I did SAT lessons. I applied for university in the US. And then I got accepted into Calvin and attended Calvin for 4 years. After that, after I graduated, I worked at a few companies. I worked at a contract research organization as a scientist and a different research organization as a chemist. And then upon finishing those jobs, while in those jobs, I applied for my master's degree in medicinal chemistry. And I'm now a student at St. John's, getting my master's and hoping to pursue my PhD afterwards. And then after that, I hope to be able to get a job in the pharmaceutical industry doing drug design or process chemistry, where I can use my skill set in medicinal chemistry to be able to develop and design new drugs for potential patients. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Anne. Thank you so much. Lily, can we hear from you?
Hi, good morning, good day, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Lily, please aside. I come from River State, Nigeria. I grew up in Port Harcourt, and I attended U of M, so that's what we call University of Manitoba. For
Okay.
my undergraduate, I started in 2019, and I actually just graduated this year. So
Yay.
thank you. So currently, I am not working in my field yet, but I am working at a company called Conversational. But I am looking to work in my field, looking for a medical research job or something like that. And I have, before I came to Canada, I attended Port Harcourt Polytechnic. That's also in Port Harcourt, River State, Nigeria. And I did that for 2 years as a science. I did science laboratory technology, and then I came to Canada, and it has been a wonderful experience so far.
Oh,
So, yeah.
thank you so much. We'll be sharing part of that wonderful experience. You'll be sharing it with us as the program goes on. Thank you so much. Okay, let's hear it from Oluwakemi. Just a brief introduction, and we'll still get back to you guys, you and Patience, when it gets to the graduate session. So Oluwakemi,
Okay, hi everybody. Let me just turn on my camera so I'll look at the other
yeah,
person.
we want to see your beautiful face.
Okay, please let me know. Can you see me?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Oh. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Oluwakemi Timitokwe Olayinka. Hi. So I'm currently a graduate student. I'm studying business information systems and analytics, and I'm also getting a graduate degree in a graduate certificate in business analytics. I'll be graduating in December. I can't
Yay.
wait. And before coming to the US, I studied sociology and anthropology in my undergraduate. So I'm not like STEM from background. I previously have experiences in customer success and product management. I recently interned as a product manager IoT, interning with a telematic company in Boston. Well, I'm back to school right now. This is my final semester, and I'm going to be done in December. You all should be happy for me. Yay!
Yes, we are. We're excited. Help the tech money. Okay. All right. Thank you, Oluwakemi. Patient.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is
Hi.
Patience Obi. I am from Nigeria. I am from Anambra State. I did my BSc in biochemistry in Covenant University in Nigeria, as well as my master's in Covenant University. And then after that, or before actually my master's, I worked for like some time at the University of Lagos College of Medicine as a biochemist for like 6 months or so. And then I did my master's in biochemistry in Covenant University. And then during that time was when I started applying for my PhD. So I'm currently doing my PhD in University of Manitoba, Canada. And I'm in my 5th year, so trying to round up.
Oh,
trying to round up
Dr.
by January.
Obi.
Thank you. So that's hopefully by next year I should be done with my program. So yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's interesting. We are privileged to have you. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for that brief introduction. And now we're going to be starting with the session proper. So if you have any questions about getting or making undergrad school application to Canada or the United States, please drop your questions in the chat, and either Anne, if it is in the United States, or Lily, if it's in Canada, will be answering your questions. So the floor is open to everyone. And if you want to talk, just kindly raise your hand with the emoji, and then you can talk. Okay. Yeah, Boluwatife, go ahead, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So my name is Boluwatife, and I'm an undergraduate student at the Federal University of Technology, Akure. I'm in my final year studying agriculture and resource economics. So my question is regards the business analytics resource person.
Okay.
So during my undergraduate internship, IT, so I had the opportunity to do my internship at the company where we were trained on business analytics, use of Microsoft Excel and Power BI. So ever since then, I've developed interest in business analytics, laying hands on little projects I could lay my hands on, and trying to develop myself. So I want to leave agriculture and economics. I want to transit into business analytics proper. So I don't know if it would be okay for me to just go and do it at master's level, or I should start all over again from the undergraduate level. I don't mind starting again from the undergraduate level, provided I can get a scholarship to do that.
Okay, thank you so much for your question, Boluwatife. Although we had earlier stated that, we'll have the undergrad session separate from grad session, but Oluwakemi, do you want to answer that question?
Yes. So, I would say that it depends on you. Personally, I do not have any background in analytics prior to my master's. The only tool that I know was Excel at a time. But when I came in here for this course, I started to learn Tableau, Power BI, I think Looker, those things. So it depends on you. If you feel like you'll be able to transition smoothly even after you come here, then fine. If you feel like you might struggle a bit, then maybe you want to go ahead and do another undergraduate like you suggested. For me, I would just advise you probably want to take online courses. Those are the things that helped me. I didn't really, even some classes here might not really be the exact, they might not really be the exact, how will I say it? Yeah, it won't give you the full package that you want. At the end of the day, you still have to go out and learn some things by yourself. So I would advise that you might want to take on online courses that will give you that broad knowledge that you need, and go ahead and do your master's, which is what I did for myself.
Okay, thank you so much, Oluwakemi. Boluwatife, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I have other questions to ask, but I'll keep them till the postgraduate section.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. Just let me know. Agumagay. Oh God. You can go ahead.
No problem.
Yes.
No problem. Good evening, everyone. Okay,
Good
so
evening.
since my question is also concerning the graduate school, it looks like we want to wait. So maybe I'll just wait till the time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you.
So I think for those who have undergrad, okay, I think I see a question here. It's also graduates. graduate school related question. Okay. Can you just drop in the chat box if you're here for graduate school or undergraduate application? While we do that, I have a question actually for Anne and Lily. What are the common mistakes that people make when applying for undergraduate program? So like what mistakes do people make that you think we should guide against when making undergrad applications?
For undergrad applications, I would say the biggest mistake you can probably make is in your personal statement. I would try to go about, if you are still, close with some people in secondary school, or not like your teachers in secondary school, like your English teachers and stuff, I would try to have them go over your personal statement before you turn it in, and give it to different people to read it before submitting it either. And I'm not talking about your parents, your friends. Give it to people who don't know you so that they can objectively edit and make comments and help you refine your personal statement. Because your personal statement is a window to them knowing you. And I would say this also goes for graduate applications as well. Making sure that your personal statement tells them about you, not about your achievements, because that's what your resume and the application fills out, but something about you that they will not know, that will allow them to get to know you. Another common mistake I would say is the visa interview, because that is where most people get tripped up. You will get into school, most likely. You have a very good chance of getting into school, right? But the next hurdle is the acing the visa interview. You have to go there in sharp and be able to answer their questions quickly, rapidly, and make sure you keep eye contact. I cannot tell you how many people, even like people from different walks of life, people who their parents have so much money that they went there and they fluffed it, and that's how they lost their admission and they had to start all over again. So once you are done, once you've gotten past the stage of admission, I would say that if you can, start working on practicing your visa interview. When I say practice, as in you and somebody's asking you those questions and you're answering rapidly, accurately, and keeping good eye contact, good diction, everything, because that's what they will really take from that.
Okay, thank you so much, Anne. Lily, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, so just going off what Anne said, what I would have to add is another common mistake is that people tend not to be concise. So basically, you should be brief but detailed. So don't provide them with unnecessary information that they may not need. And also sometimes in not providing unnecessary information, we tend to leave out important information. To give an example, when I was applying, I wanted to apply with my secondary school education, but I did have some experience after that when I went to the Polytechnic. So I left that out thinking it was unnecessary, but that was what helped me to get directly into the faculty of my choice instead of having to go through University 1, which is like the pre-faculty stage here. And also, if you are providing the information, it's very important to be brief. You don't want to give them like a whole paragraph, just a few sentences that would be able to accurately explain what it is that you're looking for, or explain the question that they are asking.
Okay, so if you say information, what kind of information are you talking about?
So they might ask some questions like, what experience do you have? What is your grades, or even something related to your academics or post-academic life. So instead of giving them a whole background story on your entire life, just give them something brief that pertains to your admission, but at the same time, it's able to explain accurately what your experience is.
Okay, thank you so much. Oluwakemi, you raised your hand.
Yes, I just wanted to just chip in something.
Okay.
So when it comes to maybe personal statements or trying to write an essay, one thing I've come to learn about it is being able to connect the dots. You should understand that the person that is reading your essay or that is reading your personal statement, you're trying to take that person on a journey. So be able to make me want to continue reading. So let's say, for instance, in this paragraph, you're saying something, be able to connect that thing to the next paragraph such that I do not want to stop reading. You should be able to align your the program that you are trying to study. You should be able to align it with your aspiration, what you want. Why do you think this course is the best for you at the moment? If you have experiences like the other person said, be able to take me on a journey that, I will not want to stop reading. I feel like that's one way to really attract most of these professors or lecturers who are going to be reading your personal statements.
Very true. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anne, Lily, and Oluwakemi. Okay, I have another question. Just give me a minute. So what makes Canadian and USA applications unique? So Anne, I believe you just tell me what makes US application unique, and Lily, what makes Canadian application unique? Anne?
Yeah, I would say US applications. I applied to both US and Canada when I was doing the applications.
Oh, wow.
I would say what makes US applications unique in my experience is the availability of scholarships and application fees generally, because that's actually because I originally did want to go to Canada, but my parents could not afford to foot the whole bill. And so there are loads of US schools that would give you copious amounts of scholarships. I went to school, one of my semesters as an international student, I paid only about $10,000 out of $50,000 for the year. Those were my school fees. So that's why my parents could not say no. So I would say that they're both pretty similar in asking you for the same things. But some US schools have supplemental essay questions that you have to answer, or that they want to know more about you, so they ask you more questions and you have to write more essays. But that's pretty much about it, I would say.
Okay, thank you so much, Anne. Lily?
Thank you for that question. So what makes Canadian applications unique? I would say based on my experience, I would say the simplicity of the process, in that when I was applying, what I needed to provide was just like my WIEC result and also my transcript from school and my syllabus, which was the main things I needed to provide, apart from other information that they would need, like your basic personal information. But I didn't have to take an exam like the SATs. It was pretty much, because it also depends on the country that you're coming from, because you might have a country that is exempt from English language tests, like Nigeria. In my University of Manitoba is one of the countries that is exempt from taking the English language test because our official language is English.
Yeah.
But I would say the simplicity of the process and also the ease of access you have to people who have a hand in this. So basically, the registrar's office, which handles the admissions, you're able to email them or call them if you have any questions. So that ease of access too, I would say, is another thing that makes them unique.
Okay, thank you so much. So another question is, what are the advantages And we're still going to come to the cost, right? Because Anne was mentioning $10,000, and I'm not sure if every parent in, in Nigeria or in Africa would be able to do that. So we'll come to the options for people who still want to go. What can they do to get the scholarships and all of that? But for now, so what are the advantages and disadvantages of using agents for your application process? Anne?
Okay, so I didn't use an agent, and my siblings did, and I would say it was more expensive for them. I would say that a lot of work that agents do, if you sit down yourself and do the research and talk to people, you have a good chance of being able to find that information out yourself. Because what the knowledge they have is from years of doing the same thing, because it's usually the same schools that they're that the people who pay them go to, right? Because I did my SAT lessons at MET, and then you had the option to pay for SAT lesson and the application, right? My parents only did for the application, for the SAT lessons and not the application. And I could see literally everyone is the same 4 or 5 schools that they all went to. Because those are the schools that give scholarships. But there are so many more schools that give scholarships. You just have to comb through their sites. I would say yes, that the benefits that agents, you don't have to do a lot of the application legwork. But I find that you don't learn anything, especially if you plan on getting a second degree. How are you going to do that part? And you're coming into a country where you have to learn to fend for yourself. If everybody does everything for you when you're coming here, how are you going to start? If you cannot even start the process, you don't have to do everything by yourself. You're going to need help, and that's fine. You can always reach out to some people. I worked in admissions in undergrad. So I know you can always reach out to, they have students, international students, so that you can reach out to them and ask them lots of questions, and they will even connect you with other international students if they are students from your country, so that you can reach out and talk to them and ask them about the experience, every single thing. So, if you don't know, so if it's okay if you don't know everything, but try to learn to stand on your own 2 feet so that you can learn to start being an adult, because you are so quickly thrust into the society that you don't have time. You have to grasp everything on the go. So if somebody has done every single thing for you, you come here, you have to find your feet, and that's not easy. So that's what I would say.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Lily.
Okay. So the question was, what are the disadvantages and advantages of having an education agent? Okay. All right. So I also didn't use an education agent. It was mostly my sister who did who handled my admissions for me, my admission process. But I would say the advantage is this is someone who has more experience, just because they have more time. They have spent more time working on this, and they've worked on hundreds or even thousands of applications for people, and they are able to put you through some places that might seem challenging. But as Anne said, it is possible for you to research this information, and also just considering Canadian applications and the ease of access you have to the registrar's office or someone else or someone in the school, because they also do put their email address and their phone numbers on the school websites. And they also do have pages that you can see questions people frequently ask, and you can also check to see if what you're looking for might be on that page. So I would say, as much as that is an advantage, and maybe if the education agent that you are using is living in the country that you're coming to, they can also maybe just tell you a bit more about the country or the state that you're going to, and tell you how maybe the weather or the standard of living or things like that. But I would say also, because this is a very this environment is one that you pretty much have to do a lot of things, if not everything, by yourself. As much as people are there to answer questions for you, there is this aspect of independence and self-dependency. So I would say that the disadvantage is that if you leave everything to the agent to handle from the start of the process to the end, then you end up coming to the country a little confused, I would say, just because after the admission process, you finish getting your visa, you're finally here, you have to go on your own from then on. Because even registration for classes, tuition fees, like paying the tuition fees, and just a few other things, your day-to-day activities are pretty much done on your own. So if you don't have at least some form of information, or if you don't have some knowledge about the environment, and by knowledge, I mean, if you didn't do some research on your own, then it might take you a bit more time to adjust. Yeah, but that's pretty much what I would say are the main advantages or disadvantages on my end.
Oh, thank you so much. So I think basically what both of you are saying is, if you're not independent from home, then it's going to be very difficult to get things done by yourself here. Okay, so I have a question from Samuel here. He said, both of you now, what are the advantages of having undergraduate studies in the USA or Canada over Nigeria and other African countries? Also, is it easy to adjust to the education system? And
I would say that it should be pretty easy to adjust to the education system. If you're doing, okay, let me start with the first question. Advantages of doing undergrad in US over Nigeria. If you can't do your undergrad in abroad, it's perfectly okay to do your undergrad back home or in any other African country that's whatever fits your budget really, because if your plan is still to go to graduate school, they still evaluate you on the same metrics. As long as you do well, it's fine. Wherever you get your bachelor's degree does not matter, as long as you do well in school. That is really what matters. Again, like I said, cost is definitely one of the advantages of doing it back home, because it's not easy to foot the bill of undergrad abroad. And then if you're going to maybe a federal school, I would say, as we all know, strikes and everything. So that's the biggest disadvantage of doing undergrad back home. But again, if that's something that you can, I would even say, if your parents cannot afford it, it's better to do your undergrad back home, because if you're in a STEM degree, or not even just STEM, there's so many degrees that for graduate school you can get in tuition free. So different programs that will cover your tuition as long as you work under contract to be a teaching assistant. And there are so many schools that offer assistantships in different programs, across various programs. So again, I would say there's no advantage or disadvantage. Do whatever you feel like you can afford, because really that's what it's all about, affordability. And the second question, what was the second question again? About,
he said how to adjust, how easy is it to adjust to
academically? I don't think it's pretty difficult, because I would say that as far as the American side, when I came here, a lot of things that I started off doing in undergrad, I had done them in secondary school. So a lot of things, they will always start from the basics for you here. That's one thing I've noticed. They'll start from the basics and then work your way up towards it. So a lot of things that they're doing might even feel like revision for you from things you studied for WAEC and everything. So I don't think it's pretty difficult, because I would say that their standard of education and testing here and what we do back home is much more rigorous than what they do here, right? So if you really study and put your mind to work, especially if you're serious in school, I don't feel like adjusting to education might be difficult for you. I would say what is difficult is adjusting to the culture here. Education-wise, I think everyone should be fine.
Thank you so much, Anne. Lily?
Thank you. Sorry, could you repeat the first question again?
It said, what are the advantages of having your undergrad studies in the US, in Canada in your case, over Nigeria and other African countries?
Okay. All right. So I think Anne did have excellent points to add. And yes, cost is a very important thing. If you can afford to study back home instead of studying abroad, or if you can afford to study abroad, go for it. That's fine. So what I would say are the advantages for me is that so based on my experience, I was open to a lot more opportunities, more than what I knew from Nigeria. So I came here and I discovered that you can do things like, there's a course called nutrigenomics, which is pretty much like food science and genetics, which is something that I didn't know you could do. So coming here, it did open my mind to more opportunities. And also there were also some practicals that maybe back home it was more like alternative to practicals, because you're seeing the equipment, the apparatus in a textbook, but here I could actually get to use it. I could see it physically, and not just see it, but also learn how to operate it. So I would say that's another advantage. And also the fact that the ease of access you have to your lecturers, to your instructors, and also TAs, so teaching assistants. So they're more open to answering questions. They even have what they call office hours, which is literally, if you have any questions outside of class, you can go and meet them. And that really helped with adjusting, which I think is the second question.
Yeah, adjusting to the system.
Yeah, so that really helped with adjusting, because if there were any knowledge gaps, if there were some things that I didn't understand, maybe because I didn't have a lot of knowledge on that particular topic that we covered in class, I could go and meet them, or even send them an email. Some lecturers are really friendly and are open to you sending them emails at different times of day, even outside of the normal school hours, and they would answer you. And also, even during assignments, if they are talking about a format that you're not used to, you can also ask them. And sometimes they could make some kind of adjustments for you to say, if there is something that you're going through and you need an extension of maybe an assignment or a project or something like that, depending on the lecturer, just because some lecturers are very strict and they're not going to accept any kind of deadline extensions, but some would actually give you an extension. So I would say that's one thing that helped with adjusting, and another advantage too in my case.
Okay, thank you so much. The last question I'm going to ask. So Anne has spoken about, you both have spoken about the cost, and Anne talked about, just working by your parents' budget. So do you have any suggestions on cheap schools in the United States or in Canada? Anne and Lily.
So for cheap schools, I went to Calvin University. Calvin is one of the schools that I know every single year, they go to Lagos and Abuja to try to recruit more students, right? They go to the education fairs and everything, and they have like very good scholarships as long as you've done well in school, because that's how I was able to get the scholarship, and they offer financial aid. So that's why I recommend whenever people ask me this, I say I recommend Calvin University. Outside of Calvin, I would have to think about those because I've given some people some other schools. Another school I know actually my sister went to is McNeese State University. It's in Louisiana. It already has affordable tuition, but then they also offer you scholarships that bring it down. And every single one of them from my sister's year who graduated has a very good job in big companies all across the state. So that's another thing I think you should factor in when you're choosing a school. Where do their graduates end up? Especially where do their international graduates end up? And all my sister and all her friends, they're working at huge companies, all doing, none of them is unemployed. That's what I can tell you. So, and I don't think that's by chance. Some schools, some people, the way some systems work here, when they see your school, because they've seen graduates from your school pass, they know that you have a better chance than some of the rest of people. So I would say Calvin and McNeese State University. If I think of more, I would definitely add them to the chat because I have a list somewhere. I just have to find it.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Anne. Lily. Okay.
Hey, sorry, I'm trying to get my video to come on. So that's a good question. Most cheap, in my opinion, cheap is relative, just because it is dependent on your budget and also the money that is in your pocket.
Yes.
So you can see, most times you can see how much the tuition costs per program, because the tuition can differ based on the program that you want to do at a university. Most times you would see it on the school's website. That is something that they display. But even at that, the prices that they do have on their website, that is also relative, just because there are other things that are listed there, like what we call the U-Pass. That's what they use for transportation in the case of University of Manitoba. And you also have room and boarding, maybe if you want to stay on the school residence, but you can choose not to stay on the school residence. You can choose to stay outside of school. So that is one cost that would not apply to you per se. So in that case, I would say it's based on your budget, but for scholarships, you can check to see what maybe banks or other institutions offer scholarships, because it is possible that they do have other institutions that offer scholarships. And even some people who they're private, it's just like two people who might have decided, okay, I'm going to donate X amount of money to an international student coming in if they fulfill certain criteria. So what you can do in that case is you can Google it, just research it, and you would probably find some scholarships that you can fit the criteria. And what I would say too is, don't discredit any experience that you have. What you might consider unimportant might be important for maybe a scholarship that you're looking for. They might ask you a question based on what leadership roles have you attained, or what other kind of roles you've attained. And this might not fit your standard, maybe heading a company or something. It might be even as little as you took on a class project and you were in charge of the class project, you were in charge of delegating tasks, or even just anything basically that you might not consider an important experience, might be something that would get you a scholarship that can fund your first year or even your entire stay in school. But for University of Manitoba, I'm not certain if they do have entrance scholarships. I know they do have scholarships when you come into the school, when you've been admitted and you have and maybe you've stayed for a semester or a year. Then they do have other scholarships that can be dependent on your grades or even your work experience. So don't discredit any experience you have. It can be very important for your soft skills.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Lily. And it's a wrap on undergraduate application. So we're going to take 3 minutes of less than that break. And while we're on that break, I'd like us to, I know I can see some people, they've already dropped their questions in the chat, but if you have questions, because we're moving on to the graduate school application now, and we're going to be having Oluwakemi, Patience, and Anne, since she's also a graduate student and she has made the application, she's going to be giving us telling us about her experience. So we'll have the three of them talk to us about navigating graduate school applications. So in the meantime, please feel free to drop your questions in the comment section. And if you also want to talk, just as I said earlier, just indicate and I'll give you the floor. All right. So we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so welcome back. And as I said earlier, we are moving on to the graduate school application, navigating Canadian and USA graduate school applications. And for this session, we have Oluwakemi Temitope, Patience Obi, and Anne Adele. The three of them will be answering your questions on your graduate school application to Canada and the United States, okay? So I think I saw somebody raise their hand the other time. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. Okay, Aguma, yeah, I murdered your name the other time, so please ask your question.
Okay, hello everyone, good evening.
Good evening.
So my question is to Anne.
Okay.
When she was introducing herself, she talked about her major being medicinal chemistry and studying in the US. So I'm also, my research area or area of interest also medicinal chemistry, and I'm also looking at the US. So I want to ask that maybe from her experience, like she said before now that for some people while you're applying, it's good to consider the schools that you're applying because of post-study job opportunities. So now, based on her experience, are there schools where she will say, okay, for medicinal chemistry, these are very good schools one could look at? Does she have a list she could drop later, like she said for the other one? And then again, are there other things that can make one's application very competitive? Because I have a pharmacy background, but then I have a master's in pharmacognosy, so I drifted a little into medicinal chemistry. So are there things or she can give or others can give to make me have a more competitive application? Thank you. I'm looking at fall 2024.
Fall 2024.
For fall 2024, Agumaki.
Yes.
With your background in pharmacy and an MS in pharmacognosy, I think that you already have a pretty strong background. There's actually a list on the AACP website of all the schools in the US that offer the master's in, or sorry, PhD in medicinal chemistry. And I can put that link in the chat. I will just, after I answer the question, I'll make sure I put that link in the chat. I'm still rifling over to find that list of schools for the undergrad. But yes, for schools that are good for medicinal chemistry, I would say I applied to 3 schools. I applied to Duquesne, I applied to Western University of the Health Sciences, and I applied to St. John's. I would say for an international student, I think one of the best schools you can go to is Western University of the Health Sciences for a degree in medicinal chemistry and drug discovery, drug design. Because some schools have it as medicinal chemistry, some schools have it as drug discovery and drug design, but it's still the medicinal chemistry that you're going to do there. Western University, every student there in their program is fully funded, and you meet your mentor. You literally interview with your mentor to pick which one you want when you're before you get accepted. So you're going into starting knowing that this is who I'm going to work under, and this and this and this is how, like, they send you your contract. Every single thing is sorted out for you before you even step foot onto the campus. So that's for Western University of the Health Sciences. Like I said, you have a pretty strong background in the pharmaceutical sciences. So getting into medicinal chemistry should not be anything difficult. Again, I would just say, if you have research, if you outline your research interests in your personal statement or in the other essays that they ask you, I'm pretty sure that you will get into a school. a lot of not every single program in the US is funded, but some are, and I highlighted them in one of my lists. So I will put that link in this chat and I'll highlight which ones are funded, because the funded ones, all you have to pay for is your application fee and maybe $500 at most in technology fee. Everything else is covered for you. And then you just have to figure out housing, which can definitely be figured out from your how much you are paid. And when you show the visa officer that this program is funded, they that is an easier, like a lot of the questions that they ask you are waived, because then they know that, because that's why they reject a lot of people's applications, because the money is a lot for these schools, and it doesn't look like, the average Nigerian cannot afford what $10,000 per annum. It's a lot of money. So but showing that funding cuts out about 50 to 75% of the questions that they'll ask you. So I will put that I'll put that link in the chat. And if you have any other questions, don't feel free to PM me and I will give you any information that I know.
Thank you so much, Anne, for that amazing response. I'm trying to find her name. Is she still on the call?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, does that
Yes,
answer?
thank you very much. Yes, she did. Thank you very much.
All right. So just FYI, like we have, this is supposed to come at the end of the whole webinar, but since Agomagi, I hope I'm pronouncing your name well, mentioned that she's aiming. Agu, oh, beautiful, thank you. She said she wants to apply for the fall 2024 session. So we actually have a plan, or we are offering three women the opportunity to get access to all the information they need for their graduate school application. That is for those who are ready, like Agu mentioned, who are ready to apply for maybe fall 24 and all of that. So we are offering to guide you through. We have people on ground who are going to help you through your application process, help you maybe read over your essays, personal statements, tell you what school, like Anne mentioned, tell you schools to apply to, safe schools, the best schools, and all of those things. So if you are interested, that, oh, you're ready for your application, you have everything ready, you have your degree, not that you're in your 300 level, no, you're all set to apply for graduate school. Just send an email to SWIS Africa, and I believe you all have the email address. Just send us an email and we'll get to you as soon as possible. Okay, so with that, I'll move on to the next question. Any other person who wants to ask a question? Okay, yes, Bolu Atife.
All right. Question is business analysis person. So I want to know the scholarship opportunity for what's going to study that business analysis.
Okay, Oluwakem.
So I would say that there's always scholarships for every courses, depending on how much information that you have. In my case, I didn't have a scholarship prior to coming to the US. But when I came in, my program coordinator, I had applied for a scholarship prior to coming, which I didn't get like a result before coming in. But when I came in, I later got.
Hello, sir. Thank you.
Bolu, can you please mute yourself?
Okay, he's muted.
Okay. Yes. So I would say that coming to the US, I didn't have any scholarship. I didn't get anything. I had applied to a series of scholarships, which I didn't get prior to coming. But when I came in here, I got some. So I would say that it depends on the amount of information that you have. It also depends on how much relationship you have with your program coordinator, because most of them are the ones that have that information for scholarships that they literally give to their students. I would also say that your background, your experiences also it's also a big thing for them to be able to know, okay, does this person really deserve this application? If you have to write a statement, the way you write it and everything. Yeah. So I'll just say that there are a lot of scholarship, even if you're not in business analytics. Just I'll say.
Okay, thank you so much, Oluwakemi. Boluwatife, does that answer your question? Is it still?
Yes, for now. Yes, I'm okay for now.
Okay. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions, remember, just signify and we'll call you. In the meantime, I'll be reading the questions from the chat. Ruth asked, as a graduate from Nigeria, I know I think Anne answered the question already, but if any other speaker has anything to say about it. As a graduate from Nigeria, what resources support international students? What can I expect upon arrival? And how are the courses structured in USA or Canada? I think I would like Patience to answer for Canada first.
Yes. Sorry, I'm trying to say the question again. Can you read the question again? Sorry.
Yes. It says, as a graduate from Nigeria, what resources support international students? What can I expect upon arrival? And how are the courses structured in the USA or Canada?
Yes, that's a good question. I think someone also asked something about knowledge gap. I think I saw something.
Yes, yes, I'm just saying that.
Yeah, similar to that question as well. So that's a good question. And I'll say from experience, it's different though. Coming from Nigeria and here is a different ball game, because the way they were trained here in Canada is they're trained to think on their feet. They're trained to be analytical. They're trained to, think outside of the box. Whereas in Nigeria, it's most times cramming to pass, and sometimes that's, of course, not sometimes, that's not even the best thing to do. That's not how to learn at all. So yes, it's quite tasking. It's actually quite, it's kind of a problem. But I would say that, I think the person that mentioned the comments said something about graduate professors are willing to help, which is very true. They're willing to help. So if you have questions, you don't understand, because there are a lot of essays, they give essays a lot. Go and write 2 pages by yourself, you're figuring everything out by yourself. So if you don't understand anything, you can email them, see, I don't understand, what do you mean by this? How do I, write this? Because all they want you to do is to think, that's all. They don't want you to write perfect, they don't want you to have a perfect thing. They want you to just think outside of the box. That's basically it. So if you have questions, because I've graded some scripts, like I've had to grade some scripts, and I could see clear difference from a Nigerian and someone that's not a Nigerian, because there's a difference. So, but the thing is, they don't want you to be perfect at the end of the day. Just basically be willing to learn, right? Just make sure you're willing to learn, and then ask questions when you are not clear. If you cannot hear the accent, tell them, I cannot understand you. Just be open to just ask questions. They know that I think they kind of know the gap is there. So, but they're always willing to help. They're always willing to help. And the question about the courses, how courses are based in Canada.
Yes.
So how do I say? It's basically the same thing. Like they have, like the professors have they have courses that they teach, and they have like maybe lecture notes, I'll call that. Like they have things that they give you, but most of the time it's mostly about assignments. Like your grade is mostly about assignments. So they'll give you assignments, they'll give you presentations, you present maybe good presentations, infographics, you have to go and use software to create many things by yourself. And then midterm tests as well, exams, those ones are there. But the bulk of the mark is about assignments. So basically that same thing about thinking, like learning and doing things by yourself. That's what basically how they do their process here. But it's not so hard. Maybe it's not hard. You can do it. If you're in Nigeria, you can do it. That's basically it.
Okay, thank you so much, Patience. Anne and Oluwakemi, do you want to add anything to that? Like merging the two questions about knowledge gap and also the, supports, the resources and all of that.
I mean, for knowledge gap, I think I answered that. So it's more of, I would say that the bulk of this work is on the applicant. You have to do like 80% of the work. If you need information, you would have to source for it. I think everyone should know that there's no information that will literally come to you. You would have to find it yourself.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I would say that connecting with the right people is very important. In my case, I had someone who at school where I am right now who guided me through my application process and told me about available scholarships and all that. I did all my applications myself. Nobody helped me. And the reason why I did that was because I knew that I didn't have a scholarship. And the best way for me to convince a visa official is to be able to explain what I'm coming for. So the number of information that I got literally helped me. And at a point, I was able to even tweak my resume to fit into the course that I'm coming here to do. So I feel like there are different ways that visa official look at stuff. So that you look at your resume if you don't have a scholarship to see, okay, let's see what is connecting these two together. So at a time, I was managing a software, so which literally made sense. So I would say that the number of information that you have is actually very important. You need to connect to people that are really going to give you that information that you need. Then secondly, you also need to prepare yourself. It is okay to have like a task list of how you want to accomplish these things. Then also it's also okay to have like someone who you can call a mentor that will say, okay, fine, this is what you should do next. If you need guidance, if you feel like, oh, you might feel relaxed at a point and you might feel maybe laid back because you're not getting the right feedback, at the end of the day, you're still going to slow yourself down. So I would say that follow the right people, prepare yourself. If you feel like you need to do some online courses to brush up your knowledge, please do it when you have the time, when you have the time, because at the end of the day, it is for you and you still really want to get all the merit that comes with it.
Sure. Thank you so much, Oluwakem. Anne, do you want to say anything in that regard?
Sorry, just give me a second. I was just trying to send that list to Agro. I've sent it over now. I've added it in the chat for all the schools that all the AACP schools where you can get where they offer those degrees. I think everyone has pretty much said the same thing, but again, a lot of these professors, they are so willing to help you. So just as someone said for office hours in undergrad, office hours doesn't stop because you finished undergraduate.
Yes.
Like if there's any single thing that you don't understand, just going to meet them, to ask them to explain it, because you can, yes, watch videos and learn different things, but those might not be the questions that they're going to ask you. So it's better to go to the source, in my opinion, right? Asking them and getting information from them, telling them what you don't understand, they will help you bridge that gap. So they will help you fill that gap and help you understand how they want you to interpret the information that they've put to you. So do not be afraid. Nobody's going to bite you. They're even willing. They beg you, please come and ask me questions if there's something you don't understand, and they will sit and take the time with you to make sure that you understand, because their goal is for you to succeed. If you don't succeed, then they failed. That's how a lot of these professors here operate. If they cannot help their students succeed, then they have failed at teaching. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Keeping quiet is not going to help anybody. It's going to only make things worse for you. If there's something you don't understand, and also your peers are such a good resource. I saw somewhere that some people think that but in graduate school that your peers are your competitors. Never in your life think like that, because if you think like that, you are not going to help yourself. It is never, that is a very unhealthy mindset to think of. These people are all here to help you. These are the same people that you could end up on papers with. These are people that will help you to understand things in different ways. So do not be afraid. If there's something that you see that your people in your class understand, ask them. If they don't want to help you, then they don't want to help you. Then they're not, that's not the person to ask. But don't stop at ask. Don't stop yourself from asking them, because they might understand in a way that you don't, that will help you and be able to help you when your professors are not able to help you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have another question here. Okay, I just want to be sure I'm not missing out any question. Okay, Idris said during application, if the personal statement was pegged at a 500-word limit, does it have to be 500, or it can be a bit over, like 510, like that? Does anyone want to answer that?
They usually have a counter. So if it's above 500, they won't even let you submit. So if something says 500 words, go for 480. So if it's at 500 on the dot, there's something you can remove. There's something you can make concise. Try to so if you've written something like, in order to change it to 2, cut the words short. If something is asking for 500 words, your aim should be 450 to 480. So that it's not like I'm struggling. I tried my best to be under the limit. 480 means, okay, I did what I did. I wrote what I did. I wrote it concisely, and I got my points across.
Thank you so much for that concise response. Patience Oluwakemi, any thoughts?
For me, I would say that when this, like Anne said, when they say it shouldn't be more than 500, I think between 480. For me, I'd rather just do 450. Because that's because I really don't want to do too much. And like Anne said, there are some systems that when you do more than 500, the submit button will just be disabled. So you would not be able to submit. And if there's a case where it is not disabled, I think you should still go back and reduce it to be less than 500.
Okay, thank you so much. Patience.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone has said. If they say 500, please don't exceed 500. They will reject it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. You heard that. They will reject it. Okay, thank you, Patience. Faith Adeyemi said, she asked, aside from the fact that I have to keep my personal statement or essay engaging, is there any other thing I can do to make sure it is considered? Patience, you want to answer that question?
Yes. So I think that, like we just mentioned now, make sure it's aligned with what they said. Most of these SOPs, they have what's the word? Instructions. The words limits, the word font, all of those things. Make sure, apart from being engaging, make sure it aligns with what the number of pages they've said. And then make sure it is grammar, like the grammar is good. That's also something. Apart from being engaging, some people can say they are trying to be engaging, but then someone cannot read it because they're writing something else. I've read a lot of SOPs. It's bad. So make sure the grammar is good. Make sure the sentence structures are okay. Make sure there's paragraph. If there's no paragraph, nobody will read it. If it's a block of words like that, nobody will read it. And people do that. So make sure there's paragraph, make sure it's aligned. And then, of course, like they've already mentioned, make sure the story is, each paragraph is connected to, each of, like, there's a connection, basically. And then also there should be, how do I say, there should be a point you're trying to make, which is also something, because it's a right story, there's not a right story, and then we're just reading stories. It's not a storybook, right? So make sure there's a point at the end of the day. Each paragraph would have what's the point you made in this paragraph now, you know? So basically, I think that's what I'll add to that.
Thank you so much, Patience. Thank you. Oluwakemi, do you want to add anything to that?
I think Patience said it all, but I will also just make mine shorter. Like I said, be specific. Try to articulate your academic and your career goal. Try to emphasize it in a way that will fit the program you're going for. Then I would also say that highlight your achievements. What are the things that you've achieved? Is it in your experience? What are the skills that you've gathered? Try to demonstrate that readiness for the program. Then another thing I would say is to connect with the program. Align your aspiration, like I said earlier, and why you think you're uniquely suited for that program. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Oluwakemi. And
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question? Was it not the question that I just answered about? Was it a different question? Sorry.
Yeah, it's about apart from making the personal statement or the essay engaging, is there any other thing to do to make it, to make sure it is considered?
Those are really the tips that I got to make sure that it's engaging and, try to, okay, let me give you an example of what I wrote for my personal statement. I wrote about how I like shoes and how different types of shoes.
Okay.
But I used my love of different types of shoes to explain the kind of person I am. I like to wear heels when I do this and this, and this is the kind of person I am when I do this and this. It makes me do this and this. It teaches me I have to be patient. I have to suffer, but I look this and this, that sort of thing. You can tie the most. Another one I wrote about is I like to bake. Why do I like? They asked me what is something about you unrelated to every single thing, unrelated to school and learning. I said I like to bake. Why? Because with baking, I can follow precise instructions. Use those things to, use the mundane things to highlight your soft skills. Things that nobody would, just things that you don't have to necessarily write out. But, with baking, I can easily follow instructions. If something doesn't go right, I can troubleshoot. Those sorts of things. Because that's what makes you a more valuable person. They want to see that you're well-rounded. That you're not just good at one thing. That you're pretty educated and engaged in different sorts of things and can apply your knowledge to a certain type of thing. So that's what I would say.
Thank you so much for that. That was really interesting. Okay, so another question from Edna. She said, for graduate applications, is it a must to have an IELTS or a GRE? Or some universities waive, especially if the degree was taught in English?
For Canada application, it is not compulsory for some schools.
Okay.
When I was applying, that was one thing I was looking at because I applied a bit late to when it was kind of impromptu for me. So I was like, schools that do not take GRE, that's what I was looking for. And luckily, I saw a bunch of schools that do not, like, they exempt Nigeria because we speak English. So.
Okay, wow. Thank you so much, Patience. So for Canada, you've heard that there are lots of schools that don't require GRE. Okay, Anne.
So GRE is dependent by school. For some programs, they actually require you to write GRE. For others, they don't. The English language proficiency, though, for most, if not all US schools, they're going to ask you to take that. Only maybe a select few US schools don't ask you to take it. because they know that I would say the only schools in US that don't ask you to take it if you're coming direct from Nigeria is if, like in schools in Texas, because there are so many Nigerians that come from there, so they know that they are proficient in English, so they've actually stopped asking them. But aside that, I don't know any other school unless you've completed your bachelor's degree abroad, and that's when they don't require you to take the English proficiency test. Aside that, every single person I've helped from Nigeria to come to the US, they've had to take an English proficiency test. However, there's actually a cheaper one now that a lot of US schools accept. It's the Duolingo exam. So much cheaper than IELTS, so much cheaper than TOEFL. It's only, these exams, TOEFL, when I wrote TOEFL, it was $200. I don't know how much it is now, but back then that was still lots of money. So I think now it's for Duolingo, it's $49. I know, exchange rate doesn't make that easy, but compared to what you have to pay for IELTS and TOEFL, that is so much cheaper. And I think in Naira, you only have to pay, this was as of last year, in Naira, you only had to pay like 40,000 Naira or something, 40 to 50,000 Naira. You can pay in Naira for that one. And you can do it online on your own computer. And so many schools accept it. If you're not sure, email their admissions if they accept it, because that's what the last person who I helped, that's the English proficiency he took, because the other ones are expensive. So yeah, for America, most, if not all, will ask you to take the English proficiency test if you're coming from Nigeria. But don't think of it as saying that they don't think you can speak English. It's more about your writing, being able to write research papers, because in graduate school, you're going to write so many papers. You're going to write so many papers for different classes. And if you cannot, write them properly, you're going to fail. And I think, and nobody wants you to fail. You don't want to come to school and fail. So don't think of it as, oh, they don't think I can speak English. It's more about your ability to write analytically. So
wow, thank you so much. And Oluwakem.
For me, I would say that it depends on the school. Like the school I'm currently in right now, IELTS was waived for me because my previous degree was taught in English. Then GRE and GMAT, like the way they used to combine them, it was waived because I have 5 years working experience. So it depends on, I would say it depends on the program. For instance, if you're going to go to courses like computer science, information science, they might not waive GRE for you. But for the course I am currently, they did waive it for me because I have 5 years experience. So it depends on the course and the school. Then for PhD programs, I feel like GRE and GMAT is very important. I will say from experience that I recently applied to a school, so I was in contact with the program coordinator, and she told me that my application would be considered, but people who have GRE or GMAT would have more, leverage more than I do. So let's say they have 50 people with GMAT, they cannot see me, something like that. So that's what I'm trying to say. So it depends on the school and the course itself. So I was applying to technology, operation and management, PhD, but the thing is I have to do GRE in order for me to be considered, because the course is highly rated and a lot of people usually want to study that kind of course. So that's what I'll say.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. All right. So I'm still waiting. If you have more questions, please drop them in the chat or signify by raising a hand emoji so that you can ask the question. Okay. So in the meantime, Agu is asking Oluwakemi a question. She said, was the GRE required as part of the application or it was waived? I think she answered that. Or
so for the application I was talking about, which is PhD, like I said, the program coordinator had mentioned to me that, funny enough, it's like a section in the application that you can go past. So you don't necessarily have to be stuck, like it's not a compulsory section, which is why she told me that you can decide to put it there and be on the top list, or not put it there and be somewhere lost in the crowd. So that's just the other thing. So in my opinion, I would say is compulsory. Just go ahead and do it. And I also think that I think they said that the mark that you get is not really compulsory. I mean, it's not really a thing depending on the course. Like, let's say you're supposed to have like 380, or I've never done it before, but like, let's say you're supposed to have like 300, I'll be 380, and you're having like 300, you might be considered. Funny enough, you'll be better than me that don't even do it at all. So, yeah. So my advice is go ahead and do it if you want to do it. That's what I'll say.
Okay, thank you so much, Oluwakem. Agu, I hope that answered the question. Okay, so before I move to Aziz Quadri's question, I just have a quick question to ask. So could you share your personal experience or insights on what it takes to be a female African STEM student in a US or Canada graduate program? I think since the US is the majority here, I mean, for this session, I would like Patience to go first and tell us about Canada.
So, sorry, the question again, sorry.
Your personal experiences or insights on what it's like to be a female African STEM student in a Canadian graduate program.
Okay, my personal experience, I mean, it's interesting. That's the word I would say. It's interesting to be an African female. First of all, female, the amount of female in STEM is not as much as you'd expect, or that you would hope. So number one, being female in STEM is like a big deal, and also being African as well. You know, it's good. It makes you stand out sometimes in, like, conferences. It's just, I guess for Canada, I don't know if I would say I can't, I don't know what I'm comparing it to. I don't know about US, it is more, but but now we're having more female in STEM, more African female in STEM generally. For personal experience, I think it's good. Like, people, the thing is that they actually want women now to come more into STEM. There is this wisdom, they call it wisdom conference, a wisdom group that was created in Canada at the U of M, and it's basically women in science, development, outreach, and mentoring. That's what wisdom means. So what they want is to bring more women into STEM. That's what they want, basically, because they realize that women are not remaining. They're starting, but they're not remaining. So how can we actually make women remain in STEM, and then progress and continue to become professors, not just stopping at MSc and PhDs. So there are those things coming up now, and which is good to see. We haven't started anything about BIPOC, which is basically Black, Indigenous people of color and stuff like that. That's something that they're looking to start as well, to recruit African women as well, and stuff like that. So generally, they are welcome. It's very welcoming. There is no racism or anything like that. If that's something that people are thinking, it's not like that. So they are basically welcoming. They want more students to come. There are some supervisors that are even recruiting female, particularly female students. They want female students because they saw that it's not so much. So they put out applications for female people so they can have more of them. So basically, it's been good. It's been great. That's from personal experience. It's been good.
Thank you so much, Patience. 5 years is not a joke. It's not a joke. So thank you so much. Lily, you also, you're a STEM woman in Canada. So can you just briefly tell us about your experience in Canada?
Sorry, just one moment. I'm trying to get my video to start.
Okay, take your time.
Right. So sorry. Okay, so my experience as a woman in STEM in Canada. So for some of my classes, there weren't a lot of Africans or people, but there are a lot of Nigerians and Africans in Canada. So, but I would say for some of my classes, there weren't a lot. There were some classes that was just like a handful that I would see, a handful of Black people that I would see in the classes. Majority of them are white, but I wouldn't say I've experienced racism in any way, because they are very open to, because they try as much as possible to be diverse. They even have, I believe they have an equity and diversity inclusion statement. Yes. So now they're trying to be more diverse. So they're really open to it, and they encourage you as well. They don't, it's not like they treat you any different, but they understand that there could be knowledge gaps depending on the country that you did go to school. So like I said, if you do have any questions, you can feel free to ask them. But if it's for I don't want to say maltreatment, but I did experience that. I think it's if it's an option that you can go for, I think you should definitely go for it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Lily. All right, so we're moving on to the Americans. Anne, I should start with you.
Oh, you guys in Canada enjoy no racism. That must be nice, because that was the first thing I tasted when I entered this country. So it sucks. It genuinely sucks. There's so much you wish to undo, but wow, you guys are really enjoying. I would say that when I first came to this country, there were not a lot of other Black. There were no Black. The only people who were Black and in STEM were Africans. In my schools, Africans. I literally, it's only until I came to grad school and everything, and even then it was still a lot of men, mostly men in my program, in my biochem program, in chemistry classes I took and everything, right? And there were no non-white professors. All the professors were white, and so it's definitely a struggle, especially in America. That's why I even chose to go to the school I did, because for graduate studies, because so many other schools in the US are very, very, their programs are extremely white, and I could not keep doing that, because there's so much a lot of them don't understand, right? Like even like they sometimes they even speak to the way they speak to you condescendingly, and so many things. So I decided that I was going to choose a diverse school in a diverse state as well. So which is where, choosing the state you live in comes into play. Choosing the state you go to school in comes into play, right? So for that, I did not have a lot of other women in STEM that looked like me. All of them were white, and in my labs they never wanted to sit beside me or anything like that. So I would almost always do my labs alone. It was only one professor who recognized this and assigned everybody sitting, because he said, I've noticed that the African students never get anybody to sit beside them. There's no other African in the class, so I'm sitting everybody. I'm going to assign everybody seats. Legit, that's how he put it. And he paired me up with somebody. So, coming from somewhere where everybody looks like me, and then nobody looks like me, that was obviously not easy for me or anything. So there's this hyper visibility and at times you may feel imposter syndrome, like, do I belong here? Am I supposed to be here? All of that. Like, I know so many people who changed their majors because it was too much they're dealing with, and like some of the jokes that they told in my like organic chemistry class in sophomore year, saying some stuff like, oh, are you an African child with malaria? And all of the white people were laughing, and I'm just there like, I don't know what's funny. Like, I'm struggling to see what the joke is or what the joke was. Till today, I still don't know what the joke is or was. Then I don't know what was funny and everything. So again, there's that hyper visibility. So you're going to have to make your own community. You're going to have to, especially if you're coming to the US, you're going to have to find people who who know you and everything. Like, I'm lucky now in the sense that I have Black people in my program, and those are the people I always go to. There are people of color in my program, so those are the people I usually gravitate towards and everything, because like I said, I have had to deal with this program. I had to do my biochem degree with so many white people, and they would say some of the most racist things, or call you the N-word, or different types of things. Like, it was horrible. So I would say picking a school where you can see their diversity stats really helps for graduate degree. And as a woman in STEM, or say a Black person in STEM, find your community, find people who look like you. They may not even have to be doing the exact same thing that you do, but try your best, look out for them, try to find them so that they know you, you know them, and you guys can always like debrief each other and everything. So that's the one thing. And I would say another thing is there are lots of communities, like organizations that try to uplift Black people in STEM. If you can find one at your school, definitely join it, because you will get to meet other people who are like you, who have this, because it's not only white people that like chemistry and math and all of these things. We do too. That's why we're all here. We want to go to school and broaden our horizons and get to the top, right? And even in industry, I was the only Black person at my job. So and because of that, it's very easy for them to pick on you and blame, put their inadequacies up onto you, because they can easily target you and kick you out. And unfortunately, that's what happened to me in one of the companies I worked at, right? Wow. So like I said, let your work stand out for itself, do your own thing, and sometimes the cards may be stacked against you, but never in your life blame yourself for it. You're just trying to look for a better life for yourself. And you will pass through thorns before you get to the roses. That's literally the best thing I can tell you. But again, find your community, make friends with the other minorities, because those are the only people that will have your back, because those are the people who understand what you're going through. Make friends with them and try to work with them and everything. And you will come through. Genuinely, you will come through. You will find a place where you belong, and you will find a good mentor who uplifts you and try to make sure that you get your work done and your work is hyper visible to everybody, so that they know that you deserve to be here, you belong here. So that's what I can say as being a woman in STEM.
Wow, thank you so much. And that was really amazing. Yes, thank you so much for that response. So you don't move to USA or Canada and then you ditch African people. You're on your own. Okay. Oluwakemi, can you tell us your experience so far?
For me, okay, so I'll first say that I totally agree with what Han said. Even though for me, I've not really experienced the racism when it comes to my co-students or people around here. The only place where I do feel that kind of racism is where I currently work right now as a GA. So there are people that when you say, we're Nigerians, we are used to good morning, good afternoon, good night. So when you say good morning, they just pass. When you say, so it gets to a point that I've decided that, you know what, I'm not going to greet anybody again until you greet me. So that kind of thing can be like, maybe they don't like me, maybe because I'm Black, something like that, a different thought. But one thing I would say is don't overthink it. They are like that. Some of these people, I'm sorry, they are bipolar, but they'll be fine. So it's just the way they are. Where I currently work, sometimes you can just say, hi, money, with your smiley face, and they will just pass you by. It's okay, we're good. So I'll just say that it's not a big deal. It's who they are. It's not as if you need something and you ask them, they would not help you. They will help you, but they might even say, okay, you know what, go meet somebody else, or probably direct it to the person that can help you. They will still help you. So in my case, it's just my place of work, but then I'm glad I'm graduating. Well, another thing is joining few societies. I mean, some that I've joined when I came in is NSBE, National Society of Black Engineer, then Society of Women Engineer, then there's Anita B, association.women.org. And there's one other one like the Association of Women in Science, AWSI. So those are good organizations to join. They are there to empower you, to advise you, to mentor you on how to deal with racism and all that stuff like that. Then I can remember that I was in, I think then there's one they call Afrotech, is basically for Blacks. Then I remember that last year I was in Afrotech and I was trying to look for an internship, and I did, and the people I was meeting were just somehow. So when I stepped outside and I met the lady, she's Black. She was working with Coinbase at that time. So she saw me while I was sitting down. I was just looking down. She was like, "What happened?" I was like, "I'm really tired. I look like these people don't like me. They're basically white. Like these people don't like me and all that." And then you know what she did? She's Black. And then she took me in, and then we started going from what she said I should start saying my elevator pitch all over again and stuff like that. That she's there and she was standing there. She wanted to see what their response was and all that. And she saw it, and she had to let me know that there are times that are like this, that doesn't have to make me feel down, that should just continue. Funny enough, from let's say they have like 50 recruiters, there will always be one person that will give you a good response. So what I would say is, don't let those negative energy, those negative people make you feel like, oh, you can't cope. Like Han said, they are small, they can't. We are Nigerians, we are strong, we have the awful blood and all that like that. So I think these things are pretty small thing and we can handle it. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Thank you so much, Oluwakemi. Thank you so much. So I am going back to the questions in the chat. Aziz asked, he said, please, will you give advice after, please, will you advise after undergraduate, one should begin scholarship processing or when almost done with NYSC? So does anyone want to answer that? When is the best time to start?
For scholarship processing, as soon as you start applying, just start looking for scholarships. That's the best thing I can tell you. Start up if you see, because some schools, they will automatically depending on your GPA, they will automatically consider you. But if you see, a lot of them also have different scholarship websites. As soon as they open, sometimes they don't have an open date, sometimes they do have an open date, but keep checking. As soon as they open, apply for scholarships. The earlier you apply, the better your chances are. Even for external scholarships that you're considering, the earlier you apply, the better your chances, really. So as soon as you start your applications, also apply for scholarships as well, because that will actually, because they go in tandem. So as soon as you're getting your application decision package, you're also getting your scholarship package, so that you're seeing how much you are going to have to pay for university in general. But as soon as you start applying, both of them together.
Okay, thank you so much, Anne. Oluwakemi, you were going to say something.
Yes. So, I mean, like Han said, once you know the course that you want to study and you know who your program coordinator is, like try to bombard. I mean, I would not say bombard like bombard. I mean, just be available. So try to communicate, show that you're interested. So what I would say is, what I've noticed so far is these people like someone who is consistent. So try to show that you really want these things. Let's say you send an email to them asking for scholarship today. You want to hold on for like a day or two, send another short email, that kind of thing. They would see that this person is really interested and they will want to give you their attention. You don't really have to wait until you're almost done. I don't think NYSC has anything to do with you processing anything, because at the end of the day, they're not going to ask you all these things. So I would just say that once you're done, even before once you're done with your undergraduate and you know that you are able to access your transcripts, which is like one very important thing that you need to send to your program coordinator once you graduate, then I think you should start processing anything you want to do. NYSC is not something they will ask you, even at the embassy.
Thank you so much, Oluwakemi, for that insight.
Sorry, I just wanted to add something because this is also something that comes up a lot as questions from different people, for both undergraduates and graduates, but is sending that your transcript and working through WES. WES can be a little bit confusing, but look through the website and make sure that, and it's your school that has to send the transcript directly to WES. Don't send it yourself. If you send it yourself, they're not going to accept it because they think you've tampered with it. So always make sure that your school, you have to go to your school and talk to them and everything, to make sure that they get it sent over. You pay something and they will postmark it with your number and everything, and that's when you're able to do that. But once you've done your, like Oluwakemi said, once you've done your transcript sending and everything, yes, go ahead and apply for the scholarships as well. They don't really ask you about NYSC. If you have most of the experience from NYSC that could be helpful for your application, then add it. But in general, they don't ask about NYSC.
Thank you so much, Anne. Thank you so much. Patience, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think I'll just agree with what everyone has said.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. So moving on, Agu's question. Most Canadian schools will want, so this goes to Patience. Most Canadian schools will want you to secure a supervisor before applying to a program, and the professors hardly respond to their mails. Is there something I'm not doing right? When I'm not able to secure a supervisor, can I still go ahead and apply?
So yes, good question. And this is a good way for me to refer you to my YouTube channel called Patience AB, where I talk about this thing. So maybe you can go and look at that. But I'm going to just say that it's not all schools that accept that do this. So this is some schools. Some schools you don't need to get a supervisor before applying, before putting your application. You don't need to do that, right? But for schools that need this, yes, you need a supervisor before you can apply. Please don't apply without a supervisor. Because they will ask the name of the supervisor that is willing to supervise you, and then what you write at that point. You can't just randomly write someone's name. No. They will ask the person, do you know this person? No. So you have to be in correspondence with the supervisor who is willing and said, yes, so I've approved, your application as a student in my lab, and then you can now apply, right, for that school. But for schools where they don't need supervisors before you can apply, you can go ahead and apply. Now, to answer the question about why is it that they don't respond to emails, there are a bunch of reasons, right? One reason could be that they don't need students. They don't need students. That's one reason. And that's just not very nice. Like, that's not what we want to hear, but that's the situation. They don't need students at that particular time. So they need students to graduate before they get more students. So at that time, if the lab is full, they don't have grants for more students. So that's why they don't respond. Another reason is that maybe the email, the way you're crafting it is not the best way. So there are some things, so it's a bunch of things that you need to kind of do. So when you're crafting your email, I want you to realize that these people, they are busy, right? And they have a bunch of emails. So this is Nigeria. This is Ghana, for example, or Iran. And there are many students from each of those countries that are applying to one person. So imagine they have over 100 emails that they have to read. So they don't have time to be reading emails. So they have 30 seconds to look at your email and just have your attention. So maybe the way you are right, maybe, I don't know, maybe the way the email is being crafted is not the best way. So that's also another thing. So they just keep it. So I'll just give you one tip. If you want to catch their attention, if you have a good CGPA, that's the first thing you want to write in the email. That's the first thing you want to write. What caught my PI's attention was my GPA. That's what she said. So that was what I wrote there. I had a 4.97 out of 5. Wow. She was like, oh, wow, okay. So this student, and then it just caught her attention because they have a bunch of things to do, right? They don't want to be reading long email. And again, please, whoever you are sending email to, make sure you know the person. Make sure you know their work. Make sure you've looked at their profile. Make sure you've read their papers. Because if you're writing email like a bunch of like you're sharing it is like one size fits all. Nobody read. They know. Like this people know. Some people even make mistake and write dear another name for someone else because they just copy and pasted it. I've seen these things, right? So it's obvious. So maybe these things are some of the problems that we're having. Because I feel like if you send to a bunch of scholarships, more person will respond to you. If you're doing all of these things, right, they'll respond to you. So I think it's just a bunch of these things. Maybe they don't want students, maybe. That's also another thing too. But please do not apply, do not send application to the school without a supervisor. If that school requires supervisor, they will not accept it.
Wow, thank you so much, Patience. That was very insightful. Thank you so much. The next question to you again, Patience. To Patience, please, is the 5-year PhD program you're currently on together with an MSc program, or is it pure 5-year doctoral program?
So first of all, I'm not doing a 5-year PhD program. I'm just doing a PhD program. So there's no 5-year, 4 years, 5, 6 years. In Canada, they write on their profile, on their this thing is 4 years duration. Expected though. That's not, it's estimated. You might do more than that, which is most people do more than that, right? So it's not a 5-year PhD program, it's just a PhD program. So, and then what I'm doing now is I'm doing just purely PhD program. And that's because my department don't have a master's program. So I couldn't have applied for a master's and then do PhD. So that's one thing. So when I was applying, I was looking for the ones that I could apply for PhD, because for most Canadian schools, you cannot apply to PhD directly. You have to first do a master's program and then you transition into a PhD program. For some departments, not all. So for my department, because they don't have a master's program, just a PhD program. So I just applied for a PhD program, and then I got it. So it just depends on your department. If the department wants you to do a master's first, then you have to do a master's first, and then go into the PhD from there.
Okay. Thank you so much, Patience. I hope Idris is, content with that question, with that answer. Oh, sorry, that was who asked the question? Yes, Idris. Okay. So another question from Idris. I know Oluwakemi answered this already, but if any other person has some thoughts about it, he said, please, there are some schools that request you upload a transcript during the application process. What transcripts do we upload then? That would be the unofficial one, right?
Yes, you send in your unofficial copy. Oh, sorry, was the patient for Patience? Sorry, my bad.
No, you can go ahead.
Yeah, you just send in the unofficial one. They will still want the official one, but they need the unofficial one too. They use it as like a metric for evaluating if they can give you like a scholarship or something, so that they can know who to, already. But yes, send the unofficial one, and then your school will still send them the official one.
Oh, okay. So are there other questions? We're in the final moment of the webinar. I know our time is fast spent already, but I believe we're all having a good time. So do you have any other questions before we call it a day? Any questions? Okay. If you want to ask, just signify and I'll let you speak. Okay. Idris is asking another question. Is there a possible way to get app fee waiver? App fee waiver. Does anybody want to answer the question? And Oluwakemi, Patience.
For application fee waiver, I think I got one during my time. So this could they do advertise it on their platform, that they have when you apply, you can use this waiver, to take off the application fee. Some schools don't give waiver at all. So it depends on the school. You can go ahead and maybe I personally asked my program coordinator. Funny enough, I didn't see mine on the school website. My program coordinator told me about the waiver. So he just gave me the code and told me to put it there, and it worked. So some program coordinator will give you, if you ask, Some you can always have, and they will tell you, okay, they have, they don't have, something like that. Then also I can remember when I wanted to start my second degree, I had to pay because it's funny enough, you can't get the half and the application fee waiver twice. So
Oh,
you can only get it once. So I had to pay for that one. But let's say you're coming in for the first time, it is possible that they have application fee that the code that they can waive for you. Some will tell you that they don't have it and you just have to pay. Some schools are really like, you have to pay for the application fee. So something like that.
wow. Thank you so much, Oluwakem. Anne, do you want to say something about that?
Yes. For the application fees, like Oluwakem said, some of them you just have to pay for. I paid for all of my application fees because I couldn't find waivers. Waivers they usually reserve waivers for American residents, for American citizens that are low income and everything. But if you can also, if you really want one, you can also email admissions and stuff to see if there are any waivers available for international students and stuff. Some schools have them. Lots of schools I know don't. They want you to pay for the application fee, and it's more like it's like a stepping stone. If you can't pay for the application fee, how do you expect to pay for tuition and stuff? So again, some schools as well, they have $0 application fee. So that's why I tried to include as many no application fees schools as possible in mine. I think Calvin did not have one, and that's why I also applied. Especially if you apply before a certain date, you will not have to pay an application fee. Still, the same with graduate schools as well. But if you really want that waiver, email, find out if you can find students who go to the school on LinkedIn or anything. Find out and ask them and everything. Again, if you don't ask for something, you will not be given. So open your mouth.
Thank you so much, Anne, for that. So for Canada, Lily and Patience, can you tell us about application fee waivers?
For me, I didn't have, I applied once and I got it, so I didn't apply many times. So but I paid for application fee. So, but I think I saw there was a section where they said how to waive and the fee or something. So maybe, I don't know, maybe health-wise, maybe that's where they consider that. But for the most part, you kind of have to pay for the application fee.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Patience. Lily, for undergrad.
So to the best of my knowledge, you would have to pay for the application fees. I believe they should have it on their website if they do waive it, but most times you would see, at least I believe for U of M, when I was applying, I saw it was a non-refundable application fee that you would have to pay. But if they do have, if you can waive it, I believe they should have it on the website, or you can, like, I believe it was Anne that said that you can also email admissions. It's possible that if it's something that they do offer, then they would let you know. And they can be pretty transparent about these things. So if it's something that they offer for maybe only domestic students, like Canadian citizens or permanent residents, then they would also let you know. And if you don't know where to start looking from on the website, there should be a search box that you can put in a keyword there. So you can just put in like maybe application waiver or application fee, and then you would see information that should be pertaining to the situation.
Okay, thank you so much, Lily. And then Ruth's question, I'm guessing this is going to be the last question. In a situation where you don't have a good CGPA and you want to apply for a scholarship, what are other things we can present as our strengths in the email in order to catch the supervisor's attention?
That's a good question, and that's the question I get a lot. And it's a kind of a touchy subject. I mean, the CGPA, because most people or some people don't have the CGPA. So how do they do that? So first thing is, let's define the CGPA. It doesn't have to be 4.5. It doesn't have to be 4.0. 3.8 is good CGPA. 3.8 is good, right? And once you are writing it, you don't have to write 3.0 out of 5. Then just write 3.8. or 3 points, because they don't, these people here, they use 4.5 GPA scale. So they probably assume it's 4.5 or something. You're not trying to be dubious, but we're trying to just basically writing it out to catch their attention. So if you have 3.8, write 3.8 CGPA or GPA, whatever, and don't put 5.0 there, and then they will know. So someone says, sorry, I saw this chat. Do I have hope at all? Yes, 4.22 is very good. Yeah. It's very good. It's good. So that definitely you have hope with that. I know someone that came here with 3.8. Like he has 3.8, and then we took him, and then he's here, right? So it depends on what good CGPA is. If it's lower than 3.0, then you begin to now look at that. Okay, that might be something that we might not want to mention. Don't put it there. So other things you can mention is your strength, like if you're someone that have good skill, maybe you have computational biology skill. That's the first thing that you want to do there. Bioinformatics, oh my God. That thing catches the attention so much because they need people that have those kind of knowledge now. So if you have this kind of knowledge, you can start by that. Your name, you're trying to you're done with your master's or your BSc or something, and that you have a very good skill in bioinformatics, for example, and you've seen their work. This is what they've done. You think that your skill will impact their lab. They will say yes, indeed, because they want those kind of skills. So just basically, if you're someone that has a good skill in organization or something, Python, I don't know, something, just whatever strengths you have, you must have a strength. You must have a strength. That's what you want to put there if you don't have a good CGPA. But if you do have a good CGPA, then that's also something that you can put as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Patience. So it's not just about putting good CGPA. If you don't have that, just put out the best thing you have, right?
Yes, just something, something that will catch their attention. Whatever thing you have, there will be something, more skill that you've learned that you have that is putting you at the top or is putting you higher than someone else, then that's what you want to put.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Let me quickly say something. So I would also say that there's a way that these people convert our CGPA to their own for them to know if you'll be able to get the admission or not. I sincerely don't know how to do it, but I know that, like Patience said, if you are on 3.0 over 5.0, the Nigerian CGPA, I think you should be fine, because once they convert it to their own, it should go a bit higher. Then I also think that your previous experiences, work experience is a big deal. Like
I can't hear you. Okay, but in the meantime, Abbas is asking a question. If anyone can respond to it. He said, I'm interested in education, leadership, and policy or international education development. In my first degree, I studied education and Islamic studies. Am I good?
Yeah, Abbas, if I don't know where you plan on going to school, US or Canada, if you plan on going to the US, that's fine. You have that degree. As long as you can, okay, if you plan on going to the US, I see your message now. You have also going to be, you said you want to do international policy and education. As long as you can prove to the consulate that, this degree I'm going to do has relevance back home, you should also be fine, because that's another question that they ask you that ends up tripping up some people, because that a lot of people use education to leave. So as long as you can prove that what I'm going to do here is what I'm coming to do for work back home, you should be good. And your background degree is in international education and Muslim policy, which is a very good combination. So they know that you've put your feet into different waters. You've tested the waters and everything. So genuinely, you should be fine to sorry, I don't know why my video was not on. It took some time to recalibrate, I guess. But you should be fine for that degree as well. So, and then I was going to add something about the scholarship question. Scholarship wise, there's scholarship and there's financial aid. Both of them are two different things. If you feel like, and the way they, yes, and they were right. Your Oluwakemi and Patience were right. The way they calculate your GPA, the way West does it, they factor in a lot of things, and it ends up being higher than what it actually is, right? So what West sends to them is not, is over 4 in their own terms, and usually you will be fine, right? So yeah. So if you still feel like I'm scared and I will not get money, some schools also offer, I know in the US, they offer financial aid for international students. And that is where that's where they use your income to generate how much they can give to you as financial aid as well. So look for the application, ask your school if they do that as well. And then look for the application and fill out how much you make, who else will be paying for your tuition, how much they make and everything. And they will use that application to determine how much they can add to you in term, as well as scholarship. Because again, most of the time, if your CGPA is 3.0 over 5, it's to end up being like maybe 3 over 4 or like 3.1 over 4. It will end up being fine, right? And you end up qualifying for scholarships and stuff. So just ask, what I would say is just ask if they also maybe not as much money as somebody with a higher GPA, but ask if they also have financial aid for international students. Then you can complete the application. Then you can get good financial aid and total like a good amount of package for scholarship. So yeah, and then yes, that's possible.
Okay, thank you so much, Anne, for that response. Oluwakemi, do you want to try talking? Let's see if we can hear you now.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, so like I said earlier, I think
we can't see you. We can only hear you.
Okay, I'm turning on my camera right now. Okay, can you see me now? Okay,
you.
sorry.
Yeah.
So like Anne said, there's a way they calculate their CGPA here that is pretty different from what we know. So maybe, I don't know if there's like a online calculator that you can use prior to submitting, which can help. I've never tried it before though, but I mean, it's a thing. You can probably use an online calculator. I know that West will probably have that kind of thing. So you can try it if that will help. For the person who said he's on 4.22. Okay, well done, Sharp. I mean, I feel like you don't need to ask us, you're fine.
Okay, thank you so much, Oluwakemi. Yeah, Agu responded, where's calculator? Yeah, I think you can find that online to estimate what it would be like. Okay, so Idris is asking another question. So fully funded program with GA opportunity is a scholarship or financial aid? And do you want to clarify that?
Yeah, it's neither actually. I would say it's neither. It's a job. Literally, that's what it is, I would say. So it's just a way because they know they need graduate students in a lot of these schools, and they need graduate students to do jobs and stuff, to work and help undergraduates or in other schools, some other graduate programs and stuff. So, but it comes with, you don't have to pay tuition or anything. So it's, like I said, it's a job, it's a contract, because you have to sign a contract and you get paid. So it is a job. Not really, I would not say it's financial aid or scholarship. It's just an incentive to encourage more people to apply to graduate school, because a lot of these schools are heavily funded. So they know that they don't need more money from graduate students. So instead, they want to encourage people to apply to their graduate programs. And that's why the assistantships are like that.
Okay, yeah, I think that answered this question.
Sorry, I just wanted to quickly say something about that financial aid and scholarship. So now, in my case, when I came in, I had scholarships, which are not financial aid or graduate assistance to say. But in my second semester, I had a GA, which is going to fund my school fees. Now, please note that there are some schools that would not, even with you having a GA, they won't take off all the money that you have to pay. The only thing is that the amount you have to pay will be smaller. In my case, I was supposed to pay $1,000 something, and my GA will take out around 6,000 something. At the end of the day, I'll be having like 1,000 something to pay. So it's not really all the whole money. Now, for the department that is hiring you for that GA, there's a monthly stipend that comes with with the GA. So most times people tend to use this monthly stipend to sort the remaining bills that they have. Some schools are pretty flexible with you paying installments. Like my school, I think they have these 7 or 8 installments that you can use to pay your school fees. So let's say you're not paying $200 every 15th or so, something like that. So they made it easy for you to pay 8. I think it's 8 or 7, something like that. But I don't know how some other school does that. I'm just talking about my experience, basically. Now, while I'm on GA, I still get scholarships. So there are some department-specific scholarships that I do apply for, and I still get it. So, for instance, this is my last semester, and during summer, I think I got like 2 scholarships. At the end of the day, the school needed to refund me. So you can have GA, you can also have scholarships. It doesn't mean that because you have GA, you cannot apply for scholarships. No, you can have both at the same time. It's just money. There's no difference. And like Anne said, these schools are funded. But most times they always like to prioritize their people. But regardless, they should remove small change for us like this, and we thank them. Anyway, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Oluwakemi. Thank you so much. So it's been a wonderful time with you guys, with everyone, the participants and our speakers. Thank you so much for your amazing contributions. Thank you for letting us into your wealth of experience. We are so grateful. And we're also grateful to SWIS Africa, that's Shaping African Women in STEM, for this amazing opportunity. So aside this webinar, we have other things that we do at SWIS Africa. We, just like I said earlier, we have our aim is to celebrate, promote, and shape African women in STEM. So one of the ways we do that is to conduct interviews for African women. Patience mentioned earlier that it's not just about African women coming into STEM, but most of them do not remain. That's why we have that, huge gap when it comes to the ratio of men to women in STEM. So our aim is to make sure that women don't just come into STEM, but that they remain in STEM. And one of the ways we do that is to conduct interviews with African women who are thriving in their STEM career. Like I think last month we uploaded the interview that we had with one of the lecturers in Nigeria. She's a senior lecturer at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Dr. Atta. And she, told us about her experience in STEM so far, how she came in and how she has been able to remain in that STEM career. So, and other people also, amazing people that we've interviewed. We have all those videos on our YouTube channel. So you can visit, there's going to be a link to that YouTube channel, all of our social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all our social media platforms. The link will be in the chat. So you can just take a screenshot, copy, whatever you want to do, just have it with you. Because, between where you are and where you want to be is information. Information is what the currency of this age. So what you don't know, you can't make use of. So it is what we dish out this information in form of the interviews. We send emails, about funding opportunities that are available to women, to STEM people, and all of that. So just I'll implore that you all stay in touch. When you receive our emails, don't just archive, just go through the email. You don't know the opportunity that is in that email that will be useful to you. Okay, so, and also I know some of you have questions about drafting essays, academic writing, and all of that. We had an interview, we had a session, I think in October, I don't remember right now, maybe October or a month, September, one of the 2 months. We had some amazing women come talk to us about, making a winning academic essay and scholarship applications and all of that. So you can go to our website, swissafrica.org, to check out those the video. You'll see the past events. Just click on the video, watch. You will learn so much. And if you have more questions, please feel free to connect with us. As Patience said, this people who have taken out their time to speak to us, like Patience would be Lily Peterside, Anne, Adele and Oluwakemi Olayinka, they have social media platforms also. I mean, social media handles also. And Patience is a YouTuber. So if you have more questions about Canadian universities, you can visit our YouTube channel to learn more. And if you want to get in touch with any one of them personally, you may reach out to them on their social media handles, which I want to believe will be shared in the chat. And if perhaps they're not responding like some Canadian professors, you can reach out to us and then we can introduce you to them. So I think that way they know, oh, this person is coming from a reliable source, okay? So, and also we mentioned about 3 women that we're going to be assisting, not financially. We're going to be assisting you in every other way, giving you resources, yes, that are needed for you to make a successful application for your graduate studies in Canada or USA. All that is required is that you are ready. Maybe you're aiming at 424 or something like that. So just send us an email and we'll get back to you. So with that, we have come to the end of today's webinar. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this event and for making it a success. Yes, that is all for now. Thank you. What documents? You don't need to add, just send us the email first and then we'll let you know what documents are required and all of that. We'll take it up from there, basically. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.